Hi everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today, we're sailing into one of the most important displays of Philippine naval diplomacy and strength in recent years, the joint exercises between the BRP Antonio Luna and the United States Navy in the strategic waters of the South China Sea. This wasn't just a training drill. This was a signal to the world. Alliances matter, partnerships protect, and together, we are stronger. It was January 2025, and the winds over the South China Sea carried more than just the scent of saltwater. They carried tension, the kind born from competing territorial claims, busy sea lanes, and an ever-watchful eye on each other's movements. Into these contested waters sailed a group of warships, not in confrontation, but in cooperation. At the heart of the Philippine contingent stood the BRP Antonio Luna, sleek, modern, and ready. Alongside her were some of the mightiest symbols of American naval power: the aircraft carrier USS Carl Vinson, several destroyers, and support ships, forming a formidable strike group. For days, these vessels operated in close coordination, conducting drills that ranged from communications and maneuvering exercises to live gunnery and air defense simulations. The sight was nothing short of inspiring. On one side, a relatively young Philippine Navy frigate, representing a nation stepping boldly into modern maritime defense. On the other, an American carrier strike group with decades of experience projecting power across the globe. Together, they created a vision of unity: two nations, one purpose. For the BRP Antonio Luna's crew, the joint exercises were a chance to test their skills against some of the most advanced naval tactics in the world. Practicing formation sailing with the Carl Vinson was not just about keeping position, it was about learning the subtle language of coordinated movement at sea. Every turn, every change in speed, every radio message was a piece of a larger puzzle where precision was everything. Then came the live drills. In simulated scenarios, the BRP Antonio Luna's sensors picked up incoming threats, a mock enemy aircraft or a hostile vessel, and coordinated with the USS Carl Vinson's air wing to neutralize them. The seamless exchange of data between ships of two different navies showed how far interoperability had come. These weren't two separate forces working side by side, this was a single, combined team. The symbolism of this cooperation cannot be overstated. The South China Sea is not just a patch of water, it is a crossroads of trade, resources, and strategic influence. By sailing together here, the Philippines and the United States sent a message not only to potential adversaries but also to allies and neutral observers: we are committed to keeping these waters free, open, and secure. And while the exercises were technical in nature, there was an emotional undercurrent that every sailor felt. Standing on deck and seeing the massive silhouette of the Carl Vinson nearby was a reminder that the Philippines is not alone in facing the challenges of maritime security. The trust built through decades of partnership was alive in every maneuver and every handshake exchanged between crews. For the younger sailors aboard BRP Antonio Luna, many of whom had never before worked this closely with a U.S. carrier group, the experience was both humbling and empowering. They saw firsthand the level of discipline, efficiency, and coordination required to operate in such high-stakes environments. More importantly, they proved to themselves, and to their allies, that they could match that standard. It's easy to think of naval exercises as just training, but in reality, they are much more. They are rehearsals for real-world scenarios that could unfold without warning. They are opportunities to build muscle memory, sharpen reflexes, and foster trust between different forces. And they are strategic statements, visible to the entire region. The January 2025 exercises also strengthened personal bonds. Joint meals, shared briefings, and even informal exchanges of ship patches and souvenirs built camaraderie that no written agreement could replicate. These are the human threads that tie alliances together, making them resilient in times of crisis. Of course, none of this means the Philippines can rely solely on alliances for its defense. What it does mean is that when our own capabilities are matched with those of a trusted partner, the result is far greater than the sum of its parts. The BRP Antonio Luna brought to the table advanced sensors, modern weaponry, and a motivated crew. The U.S. Navy brought decades of global experience, unmatched air power, and logistical reach. Together, they formed a shield over the South China Sea. As the final day of exercises came to a close, the ships broke formation and sailed their separate ways. But the impact of what had been accomplished remained. The waters were no less contested, the challenges no less real. But there was a renewed sense of readiness, a deeper trust, and a shared commitment to meet whatever comes next. And so, as the sun set over the horizon, casting gold over the waves, one thing was clear: these joint exercises were not just about preparing for conflict. They were about preventing it. They were about ensuring that the South China Sea remains a space where cooperation can prevail over confrontation, where friendship can be as strong as firepower. Friendship, unity, and the protection of the seas. When we stand with allied nations, even danger has to think twice. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas, and long live the partnership that keeps our seas safe.